A few years ago, I was working full time as a doctor. Everything seemed so good on paper. Everybody used to tell me how successful they thought I was. Yet inside, I was yearning for so much more. I knew I had a creative streak to me. I knew that if I continued on my current path of being a doctor, that I would always be trading my time for money. And I set about going the entrepreneurial route. And like any entrepreneur out there, they will tell you that it was a learning curve. A lot of mistakes are made initially on your entrepreneurial journey, but it is the best thing that I've ever done. I've now got a couple of successful businesses. I work as a doctor still whenever I want to work as a doctor, but I wake up every morning excited about what it is I'm doing. And many people have asked me, well, how did you get from where you were back then to where you are now? What was the process? And how could you do that while working full time as a doctor? Well, let me tell you how, and how specifically, if you're going down the route of entrepreneurship in the online world, which I would certainly recommend as the best and quickest way to stop trading your time for money. These are the things that you're going to have to think about, and you're absolutely going to have to dedicate yourself to this. There is no time. And in fact, I don't think you should even be watching these videos. If you're somebody who thinks you can dabble in something, you can spend an hour a week here and there, see what works out. No, you have to be all in, especially if you're a high-performing man who knows that you want so much more out of life. What you're doing right now is not quite cutting it. You have other skills, you have ambitions, and you know when you look around you that the people who are succeeding in business are no more smart than you. They simply have learned a different set of skills. And I want to really emphasize how you can fit the process of learning these new skills in with your busy full-time job. Because if you're watching, that's probably where you are right now. And you're wondering, how do I go from point A to point B? Before I get started, I have to say, if you enjoy these videos, please make sure that you have subscribed to this channel, hit the like button on this video, and check in the links down below for my community, my program, and my free Magnetic Edge newsletter. Make sure that you've signed up for that. If you like these videos and you want to take your life in an exciting new direction, I give more tips and advice in my free newsletter. All right, so let's rewind a bit. There I was as a doctor, and I knew that I wanted to get into entrepreneurship, specifically online entrepreneurship. But I was on various platforms, and I quickly realized that YouTube was the best platform. And I started making videos on these topics, and I would basically utilize every free minute that I had. So you're probably in a position where, of course, you have a busy job, but there will be some downtime during the day. A few minutes here and there is all you need. So I'm not suggesting that you record videos during your official work time. Maybe you have some time to do that at lunchtime, but you can certainly be doing other things. So let's take YouTube as an example. I would get up early. I would make a video before I went in to work at the hospital. And then any spare time that I had, I wouldn't sit around. Not that doctors have that much time, but there's still time in any job, some downtime where you could be doing other things. Instead of sitting around at lunchtime, even if it's for half an hour with my colleagues, I would have a quick lunch and I would quickly pull out my phone. I would edit a video. I would plan the script for the next video. I would upload a video if it was ready to be uploaded. I would plan in my mind the tasks for the days ahead. And you can do this even when you're, say, holding on a phone call, when there's a wait for something, even when you're going on a long walk. In my case, it might be going to the other side of the hospital, or sometimes during the day, I would take a break by walking around outside the perimeter of the hospital, give my mind a break. And I would always be thinking, what am I doing for my YouTube channel? How am I turning this into a business? And then when I got home, I would frequently have another couple of hours. Now, sometimes I would be done with my day a bit earlier than my official finish time. And I would utilize that. I'd go sit in an empty room and I would plan my business activities. Of course, I'd have my pager with me if anything came up. But a lot of my colleagues would be done with the day and instead be sitting doing other things on the computer, on those days which were not so busy. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sure you're in a similar position as well, where you have a busy job. Most of the time, you're busy during the day, but you will have some downtime, those moments. And by working before your workday and even as much as you can after your workday, you can easily do 4 or 5 hours a day total, even when you're working in your full-time job. And if you're all in on this, this is what a lot of people don't understand. If you're all in on this and you're passionate about taking your life in a different direction, you are going to find a time to do that. So let's take the example, growing a YouTube channel. You will find moments during the day where you can edit a video, you can plan the next script, you can plan the thumbnail, the title, upload the video. And then, of course, usually when you're not in your place of work, you'll film videos and you'll plan strategies about how are you going to turn this into a sustainable business. And before you know it, within a few weeks, you can have something successful going, especially if you are already a high-performing man with a skill set. This is not as difficult as it may seem. The most difficult part is overcoming your procrastination, going all in, saying, this is what I want to do. I am not happy with the status quo. I'm not happy with working like this for years, even decades, and I want to do something new. I remember a story actually that my dad told me about someone in his line of work, which is completely different, law enforcement. He had a colleague who became a very successful property entrepreneur. Now he's got dozens and dozens of properties, but he was in the same workplace as my dad, who was doing something very different. And I asked my dad not so long ago, because this is one of my dad's good friends to this day. And I asked my dad afterwards, I said, it's really interesting that you were in the same line of work, which is completely different from being a property mogul. How did he get into that? And my dad said, you know what? I remember 20, 30, 40 years ago, he was at work and every downtime moment he had, he was focused on how do I get my next property? He was planning for it. He would try to finish work early so he could go and finalize his next deal. But this is what it takes. People who are really serious about stopping trading their time for their money, want to do well in entrepreneurship and business. That is what it takes. There's no way around it. You're going to have to work hard, and you've already worked hard to get to where you are. So the question is, are you willing to take things a step further? I will leave you with that thought. I hope that video was helpful. If you feel that this is something you can do, absolutely go for it. Once more, check in the links down below for my free Magnetic Edge newsletter, my community, and my program, and we'll speak again in the next video.